and all. So basically, I'll move to Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Yes, please. So I'd like you to take it up from here.
Sure thing. Thank you very much, Omololo. I hope everybody's doing well today and having a great Saturday. It's great to be here. And what we're going to go over today, we're going to be reviewing as a team 5 keys to being a great tutor. And then we're going to go into teacher standards in particularly Manitoba and Ontario in Canada. We're going to go over that in the second part. I guess for the first part, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, or I'll put my email in the chat as well. If you have any questions, just please feel free to reach out. Happy to help out. So we'll start out today with 5 keys to being a great tutor. Now, being a good tutor and a great tutor, there's a definite differentiation. And then moving on to an amazing tutor. The first thing is knowing your specific niche and who are your ideal clients. Now, your specific niche, you want to look deeper beyond what grade you teach, what subject you teach. Think about what problems do you solve for your tutoring clients? What are the 1 or 2 main problems you solve? And let that think about that for a bit, and think about how that can help you find your client. Because when you know your niche, you know the problem you solve, you know the grade you teach, the subject you work with, and think about as well what makes you unique to potential clients, because there are many math teachers out there, English tutors, there's many people that work with certain grades. Think about what makes you unique, what problems do you solve? And that'll help you to develop your niche. Because there's been a misconception over the years, and I did this when I started my tutoring business many years ago. I had a misconception that if I was everything for everybody, I could do all grades, all subjects, I could do English, math, I could do biology, chemistry, et cetera, I'll get all the clients because I have so much to offer. And I found that was a short-term gain, but a long-term headache, because you're not defining your space in the tutoring market. And you're running around spending so much time in your business trying to teach all these different subjects. You're not focusing on building your business. You're too busy focusing on building your subject skills. So focus on something very specific. And for ideal clients, think about who is your ideal client? Who is that family that you really want to work with? And think about not just the grade, the subject, but think about who is going to be, for an ideal client, who is going to be committed to the goals for the student, who's going to have that similar mindset in terms of their child's development. Now, of course, we're never going to have 100% perfect matches with families necessarily. That's not going to be a one-to-one perfect record. And even in the classroom, you're never going to have a perfect relationships, but do your best to find how can you reach those families, and how can you make an ideal relationship with them? How can you connect with them? And how can you work on building commitment and all those pieces together to help you find your ideal clients? So the second one is building rapport with your tutees and your families. And that is so important when you're tutoring families, to go beyond just your academic knowledge, to go beyond what you're going to tutor. It is about the family and how you're going to help them, but also how do you help them feel welcome? They're choosing to potentially work with you, or they're beginning to work with you. What are some ways you can continue to create that amazing 5-star experience for them so they feel really welcome and they feel really good about themselves? So one possible approach is a small gift for your new student. It could be related to what their interests are, or finding out what their interests are and building your learning a bit around that. Make something that's fun for them and engaging. Remembering students or family birthdays, remembering the names of their pets, just little things like that. Little details can plant the seeds for a great relationship. And building that rapport builds trust, builds authenticity, and will potentially build those long-term relationships that will last well beyond a few months, and will have a lot of effect in not just the great relationship you're building with that family, but will help to build out your tutoring business, because the relationships you create are going to have that lasting impression, and people are going to want to share about what you're offering and what you're providing because you're taking the time to build that great relationship. So those are the first 2 points. For the third point for being a great tutor is create customized and collaborative tutoring experience. So for customized, think about how can you make the material different for a student? How can it be based on their interests? Can it be based on not just their academic needs, but maybe their confidence or a more holistic approach, something related to mentorship? How can you make it something that's going to be customized to their very specific needs? And in the classroom, obviously, it's a little more difficult to adjust every single activity for all 30 students or however big, large your classroom size is, but little things like putting their names on the board for a morning message or playing an interactive game with your students, that builds community right there, and that's building connectivity in your classroom by making it an all-involved activity. But when you're doing one-on-one or small group tutoring, something customized and collaborative. For collaborative, something that I found very helpful for students, and they really were drawn to it, younger and older, is saying to them, hey, what would you like to start with today? Have a list of 2 or 3 things that you're going to work on throughout your session with your student, but asking them what they would like to start with. And hey, let's set up an order together. And that can be really powerful because that gives them the power to share the power of, okay, we're going to do this, this, and this today. And they feel like they're part of that lesson. And it's not just you saying, okay, we are going to do this, this, this today. It's we will together do this, this, this. So that's very important to just think about for collaborative learning. How can you make that collaborative for you and your learner? Or if you're in a classroom, for you and your learners, how do you make that collaborative? And then it kind of ties into number 4, which applies to classroom and it applies to tutoring. Share your feedback with students and families. That is very important. And let families and students share feedback with you. Having that two-way street of communication, having a transparent two-way street can create wonderful long-term bonds. And if you're a teacher, it can help to make your school year a lot easier. I know from experience as a classroom teacher, over the years, I developed that confidence to be more, because I was more shy when I started my teaching career, and just being more open with people, that can really create wonderful bridges and opportunity to really grow your teaching practice if you have that communication, and it creates that personalization, and parents feel at ease and guardians will feel more at ease. And same thing when you're a tutor, share the wonderful accomplishments that are happening, but also if there's things that you're concerned about, you can always, and I'm going to paraphrase Dr. Rita Pearson, you can always paraphrase it with, I need your help. I respect so much what you do. Can you help me with how we can help your child? And just being open to that with a family can really be wonderful. And it's, yes, we have the strong academic skills and we can build mentorship and we can do great things, but we're not all seeing, all knowing by any means. We're always learning, we're always growing. So taking the time to share that feedback and receive that feedback can be very powerful. And parents and guardians, if they can see you vulnerable and opening up like that, that really can create a powerful connection that can go well beyond a few months. And the last one is, and I think very important always, is continue to think of new ways to be unique when tutoring and appreciative of clients. Like, how are you unique? What makes you unique, but also how can you make your tutoring experience unique for your families? And what can you do for them to make them feel really special? And not just at the end of the school year, but when else? Or what else can you do for them? A few examples of things that with my own tutoring company we did over the years was we have standardized tests every May for certain grades up here in Canada. And we would write letters to every single student taking those tests that year. And they were personalized letters about who they were and how this was a test, but not who they are in their entirety, and that they have power and they have wonderful abilities. And we mailed it to each student just to give them the chance to receive that letter that shows there is another advocate for them that cares. And or thinking of unique ways. For example, another thing we did with students was we would play basketball to learn math. We would do different other activities, scavenger hunts for sight words, like different things. Think of unique ways, because children are going to be drawn to that. They're going to remember those moments, and they're going to be learning at the same time. And that's a beautiful experience. So those are 5 keys to being a great tutor. Again, knowing your specific niche and ideal clients, building rapport with your tutees and your families, create something that's customized and collaborative with your families, share feedback with students and families, and finally, think of ways to be unique and appreciative of clients. Short-term investment for long-term gain, and just be yourself and make great things happen. So that is my start on 5 keys to being a great tutor. Does anybody have any questions about that right now that they wanted to ask or put in the chat or inquire about?
I don't think there's anyone who has a question. I don't see any question here.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, how to find a niche? Okay, perfect. So for a niche, so you start off thinking about what grade you work with, what subject you work with, what unique problem are you going to solve for families that you want to work with, and what makes you unique when you deliver your tutoring. So those are the 4 key elements to helping you find your niche, because you'll know what subject and grade you're really good at. That can be a great part for you to develop your tutoring network, but then also thinking, how are you going to be unique to stand out, and what problems are you going to solve for your families? Okay, any other questions about those before going into teacher standards in Canada?
Not for now.
Okay. All right. So for teacher standards in Canada, again, I'll put the disclaimer. I'm not like there's other sources for teacher standards in terms of the websites will be the best source for this. But for myself, from experience, I can tell you a bit about Manitoba and Ontario and just some of the teacher standards that are required in terms of credentials and experience. So for Manitoba, you would be required to have a 3-year undergraduate degree in post-secondary studies, be it science, arts, physical education, one of those areas, or other areas of discipline. And then after that, you do an after degree program, which is 2 years, and you take that for your Bachelor of Education. And once you have your Bachelor of Education, you can then, or if you're almost about to graduate, you can have your transcript, something to show you would send that into the to the government of Manitoba in Russell, Manitoba. You apply to get your teacher certificate from there. You would need a background check as well, transcripts, background check, and once it arrives, your Bachelor of Education degree or equivalent would be required to apply to be certified to teach in Manitoba. If you're coming internationally, there's also information about that as well. Potentially, I think there's a work visa might be a place. There's other pieces you might need to bring as proof, but this is the website for the Manitoba. I'll attach it here in chat for Manitoba. So and it gives you a chart of all the academic requirements and types of things you would need, but you would definitely need the Bachelor of Education, or if you're just about to graduate, the transcript and a 3-year undergraduate degree as well prior to going for your Bachelor of Education. So those are the teacher standards required. If you want to go for a special education, or if you want to go for anything in that area, you often need a post-baccalaureate degree in education in Manitoba. And then to be a principal, you might need a master's in education as well. So those are the areas for that. Ontario is a little bit different, not by much. They do say, again, 3-year undergraduate degree, then you need to go to get your education degree, Bachelor of Education, have the background check done as well. And with the Ontario, what I found a little different in Ontario is for specific grades or specific topics like your special education or French, or like if it's a language piece or a certain grade or level you're going to teach, like elementary or kindergarten, they require you to take an AQ, additional qualifications. So when you get your license, it'll be a basic qualifications listed of what you're qualified to teach. And then they have AQs you can take that they add on to the license. And for your OCT, you need to renew your Ontario College of Teachers license every year as well. There would be a renewal as well for that. So that would be something you would need. And they have on the website, whether you're meeting the standards, you're in good standing or not, they have that posted on the website as well. So I'll put the link here for everybody as well. Here we go. So yeah, so those are just a little bit of information about some of the teacher standards in Manitoba and Ontario and Canada. Does anybody have any questions about that at all?
Does anybody have a question? Please drop it in the chat if you do. Please, if you have a question, can you please raise your hand so I can just take a pause?
Oh, Divya, okay. Do we require any experience? So in terms of, maybe if we dig a little deeper on that, like, what do you mean by experience?
Like experience.
Okay, so Michael, I want to ask that if in case I'm coming internationally in Canada and I require any certain kind of experience in teaching, such as I have applied for, right now I am in my last year of bachelor's in education. And if I right now apply for my teacher's license, and it will take time, and do I need a certain kind of experience which will benefit me over there in teaching?
So like, and are you looking to get your degree and teach where you are now, or are you looking of applying in a different province, country or province, state? Like,
no, I want to come from express visa. That is, I want to work in Canada. I am right now pursuing my degree from India only.
Okay. There is some variance from province to province. So it'd be good once you know what province you're planning to, or yeah, once you have your province that you want to move to, then just looking up their international teacher qualifications, just go to their website for that. Just look up teacher certification, name of the province, and then they'll have country specific information, or for internationally educated teachers, they'll have that information there, and then you can look up the qualifications.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike.
And then, like you said previously, for a certain grade or specialization that you teach, you may need to have like an extra certification for that. For example, like the UK, if you're teaching maybe a certain grade, like 11 to 14, you may not need a QTS for the first 2 years, but you might be compelled to get your QTS. But it's also good if you have done your first degree and then you're a licensed teacher from the country where you are. It's also going to give you an edge. And then if you have some sort of experience, it's also a good thing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is that all for now? Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. So I'll proceed. So this should be taken by Bibi, Wafa Faisal, but she's not available right now because she had an emergency. So she sent me all this to just talk about it. So basically, I'll start with interviews. If you've been able to set up your LinkedIn account, you're already following quite a lot of people who work in different organizations like GEMS Education, like Edison Pope that recruit for the United Kingdom, and quite a lot of organizations that recruit generally all over the world, or people who may share job opportunities, and you have a very good CV. Basically, as a teacher, these are the questions they're likely to ask. Tell me about yourself. So basically, you talk about your experience, your education, your expertise, your passion, your hobbies, and how people kind of like perceive you, how your students perceive you, how people perceive you, basically, because there are quite a lot of people who are as qualified as you are, but something should just make you stand out. Maybe it's your passion, your drive that has built lovely experiences and stories to back it up. Yeah, you could talk about your education as well, your expertise and your hobbies outside of work. If you're a teacher, you might be good in photography, like I'm good in photography, in cooking, something just to spice up yourself, or your about yourself, basically. So it doesn't have to be about your experience, your education alone, your passion, the story behind your career, for example, and your hobbies. So the next one is, you should also, they might ask you questions about problems that you've solved in your line of work. So they might give you a scenario, or just ask you generally to talk about how have you been able to help a child who had learning difficulty, or whose grades were dropping, or who was suffering from one abuse or the other, blah, 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 and how you've been able to solve that problem as a class teacher or as a subject teacher. And how do you see yourself in the next 5 years? That's number 3. I believe you should dream big. For me, I like to say I see myself working with the United Nations because we have similar goals in terms of quality education, in terms of decent work and economic growth, and all that. So, and that's where I see myself working in the next few years. And because I have my foreign language skills, I believe that's where I would love to be, And how do you manage difficult stakeholders? Basically, maybe difficult staff, or difficult line managers, or difficult parents, or difficult government representatives that come to your school, and maybe they just see something in a certain way. They really don't understand how it is. And all of a sudden, the entire situation is looking like maybe you're not a good teacher. How do you defend yourself? How do you politely speak to people? How do you, approach everything with integrity, emotional intelligence, and all that? Then they also ask you to talk about your lesson planning from the starter to all the activities that you should do in your lesson and your delivery. And then finally, they also want to know about your personal virtues, because it's very important. Aside your cognitive skills, the attitudes really matter as well. And so basically that's what they may ask you. And another thing, again, they may talk about is your tech skills, your the website where you get your resources. So you need to keep yourself updated with all the websites, the apps that are used globally, in teaching and all that. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Okay.
No, thanks.
Okay, so here is a CV and interview question, like CV. And so basically this is a CV. It's quite colorful. And the one on the other side here is for an EYFS teacher. And here is a specialist teacher. So basically, it has to be catchy, which is the face validity. It has to be catchy. It has to look really nice. The content validity as well. The fonts have to it doesn't have to, I've seen people send me CVs that they use different fonts. You can use just one font for the headings and one font for the content, properly aligned. Then you can also include your LinkedIn profile. Please set up your LinkedIn profile, your work experience, volunteer, even if you don't have any experience, but at least you've been doing quite a lot of you may have been doing quite a lot of volunteering or internship or skills that you've acquired or something that you've done, You can also put that into your CV as well, or your LinkedIn profile. Your tech skills as well, just like you can actually, just like you have icons everywhere here, where she has a profile, she has a lady's picture, so where you have to put up the apps that you use, you can make it colorful like that and just say, okay, I use Zoom. You just put the Zoom icon and stuff, your tech skills, just make it nice, beautiful, professional fonts. You can also put your affiliates if you are licensed, if you're part of a certain community. You know, you can put it as well, volunteering as well, experience and achievements. So when you talk about your experience, you should have your achievements listed, all the things you did and your testimonials. For me, I like to, aside having my experience, the date, I'd also give details with facts, percentages, figures on what I was able to do and how I took the company or the children from point A to point B, basically. And then sometimes I also like to have, like my previous CV, I had a parent's quote about what I've done, and I wrote the parent's name and all that, but I asked them first before putting that in, you know. Then your license and certifications, your reference, check your references, are they people you still want to use, you know, and all that. Your education with dates, proper dates, and compose your email very well. Prior to the training, I sent a flyer out and I said people should send me emails. A lot of people compose emails in an unprofessional way. And I think it might just be because it's a training and it's more or less, oh, I'm not paying for it, or it's not a job. But I think you should be, you know, polite in having to start your email, check over and over again, and look through before sending the email. Do you have any questions, please? Okay. So I'll proceed now. Okay. So basically, the lesson planning for the British curriculum. So you have your starter, you have your objective. Your objective has to be SMART, specific, measurable, you know, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Outcomes, these are your outcomes. Basically, the outcome basically has to be 3, from the easier one to the hard one, and you should ensure you use your Bloom's taxonomy, because they might ask you to send your lesson plan, mostly here in Dubai and in the UK, from my experience. They tell you to send your lesson plan prior to the interview. You must ensure that it's inclusive, in the sense that if you have a child who's suffering from dyslexia or any learning disability, does your content actually help them achieve your goals or your learning outcomes? So the learning styles as well, you should also put your target. Basically, if you have 30 students in class, you know what their learning styles are. But at the end of the day, that is also subject to the topic you're teaching. So for example, if you're teaching maybe history that has to do with facts, obviously you don't want to sing about it, or you don't want to, you know, do an activity that's probably won't allow you give them the facts. So definitely you might want to use maybe lecture method at that point. But for example, maybe if you are teaching colors, or you're teaching something that basically they need it, you need to use your hands and all that to ensure that, you know, you pass the message and it sticks. You know, you do not hesitate to do all that. You can even bring props to your interviews and show them that in your ideal class, this is what you're going to do, because of the peculiarity of the topic or the peculiarity of the audience that you're teaching. So basically, aside that, again, you could have a link. Basically, try as much as possible to link one topic to the other, or link it to something that may be happening in their life physically. And if I can't find it, I'll just try to put up something, an entry behavior, or a video, or something that'll make the learning stick. Then the main teaching, you teach whatever topic you want to teach. Once you're done teaching, you check the concept if they are really following the steps and all that. Give them a task, then the main task, then the assessment for all the learning they've done so far. Then immediately you give them feedback. Usually, because I usually have a class of 30, so the children usually assess most times by themselves. So they mark immediately and check, oh, they got it. This is why they didn't get it. And the final feedback is that I tell them, you need to show me the red color if you don't understand, the green color if you understand, and the orange color if you're not too sure. Then we talk about it immediately. If it's something we can't do immediately, we try to sort it out. If it's something we cannot do, I may, give them home learning or assignments, or tell them to see me later and all that. And then deliver your lessons basically on the British values, democracy, rule of law, liberty, and respect. Does anybody have a question, please? Does anybody have a question? Okay, so I'm just going to go right again. The starter, the objective, the outcomes. You must be inclusive. You don't have to have something too difficult, but put everyone into consideration. Your lessons, learning styles, also put that into consideration. Ensure that it's colorful. Look for pictures online. Let it be nice, and hopefully you'd get the job. So I'm going to hand over to Natalia now. She's going to talk about marketing for the global market space. We're not only talking about, sorry.
35.
So we're not only talking about getting a job online or moving abroad, but basically having side income. Because as a teacher, you might just want, aside trying to market yourself for the market space, you might also want to teach online, make extra money, develop your business as a tutor, and deliver quality service globally. So I'm going to give it to Natalia now to take it off from here. Thank you so much, Natalia.
Thank you. Can you hear me, guys? Yeah, awesome. I would start with one very simple question. What do you feel when you say marketing? And for many private tutors, but also to me, like the first thoughts I have is, I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to go to people and push my services. If I deliver good quality, people are just gonna find me. And this one gets you very often to very common misconception that if you create a profile on tutoring platform, or if you create a website, people are just gonna find it. Nothing could be more wrong. Like, magic doesn't happen in this world unless you act to get it delivered. And that I would like to encourage you actually to think about marketing if you have all those negative associations, which I had myself, in a slightly different way, which is the aim of marketing is actually to reduce your need to sell your stuff. Is to provide people with information and options and possibilities they have, because not everything is for everybody. And this is something I would really encourage you to go really deep. What Michael said before, find your niche and accept that you don't have to be for everybody. Like, you are going to be perfect in one simple thing, and that's great. Deliver on it. That's where people are going to start trusting you and spreading the word about you. So as you can see on the first slide, there are actually 4 choices you have. So ask yourself today, which road do you choose for yourself? Because each of them requires a bit different skill set and a bit different marketing. So on the left side, you're going to find school and agency. This is something where you can basically forget about marketing. These guys do it for you. That's why you give them a bunch of your money. So basically they take a cut from what you get as a salary, and they find students for you. You forget about marketing in the big chunk of what it means. And then you have other things which you can see on the right side. One of this is called tutoring platforms or online marketplaces. These are places where you create your profile and then students can find you. And very often when I say to people, oh, tutoring platforms, they don't know what I'm talking about. So then I go and tell people the names. What are tutoring platforms, right? And you are going to be pretty much familiar with most of them. Depending on the country you live, some are going to be more common, the other less. But these are going to be names like Wisent or tutor.com or First Tutors, Tutor Hunt if you are in UK, Wise, Tutor Me, Varsity Tutors. So basically, all those platforms, when parents can go, click this magic button, find tutor. But then there's one more choice you have as a private tutor. This is called becoming an independent tutor, which means you are going to be responsible for everything. You are not going to give a cut to those platforms for finding students, because what happens with them very often is they're going to charge you 20, 30, 40%, depending on the platform, based on your session rate. So let's say you charge like 50, they're going to take 20% out of this, right? And you see less money in your bank account. You can become independent tutor where you don't share your money with them. But then on the other hand, remember that you have to take care of booking systems. So you need to pay for booking system. You have to pay for website. You have to deal with accounting and manage those kind of small things, like more admin things. So yes, ask yourself which route is for you. And today we are going to talk mainly about two. So something that you can see on right-hand side. So tutoring platform and becoming independent tutor, because both of them require slightly different marketing tactics. So if we can go to the next slide, how can I somehow move it to the next slide, or you can do it for me?
All right.
Oh, thank you.
No,
the one before. Oh, thank you. So on left-hand side, you have all those like Wisent, Tutor Hunt, those kind of guys, which we call tutoring platforms, where they take a percentage fee from what you earn. And to understand what kind of marketing is best, if you want to position yourself there, is I always recommend put yourself in your client's shoes. Like just think that for a second, you're looking for a tutor. When you go to the platform, there are a few things you see for a start. In the bottom or in the top, depending on the platform, there's going to be a list of recommended or best tutors we have. Ask yourself, why actually they listed those tutors, not the other ones? Is it because like they have the lowest price? Is it because they have the best rating? Is it because they have the biggest number of ratings? What really drives this? And then second one, can you rank there? Because these people, usually it's going to be 5, maybe 10. It's going to be those who get most of the traffic and most of the clients. Could be that trying to get there is impossible because like these are people who has been with the platform since they started. And that's why they have so big numbers of clients, right? It's like a snowball. They started early, so they got more ratings and that's how they go. And you are new to the game, there's no way you can compete. But you should know those things before you decide to market yourself. So that's one. If you don't know how they rank them, go to the terms and conditions. They usually display this kind of information. So you want to be absolutely clear, what kind of game are you playing? Second, so you're this parent, let's think like you're looking for a tutor for your 10-year-old kid, and you would like to help him in math. So what happens then, parent like this usually clicks on this button is find tutors, and they fill a bunch of information. Do they want like offline or online lessons? What sort of math? Is it like just algebra? It's general math? What age, where they live, and so on and so forth. And then what happens, they see a list of tutors, exactly similar like when you have like Google search, right? Like, I don't know, 10 hits, 100 hits, a lot of tutors that you have to choose from. Ask yourself why certain tutors are on top of this. Again, the same questions. Are they because of the price they have? So are they sorted from the lowest to the highest? Is it because of the rating they have, which is great? And can you compete? So these are like very two important factors you want to discover to market yourself effectively and then deliver on top of this. One more trick you can use with those platforms is something that Michael mentioned, so niche. That's why niche, however you do your business, is important. Because imagine you are not going to market yourself like a math tutor, you are going to market yourself as math tutor for 12 to 15-year-olds for kids with dyslexia. If somebody is going to look for this particular keywords, they're not going to find 100 tutors in this search on this platform. They're going to maybe find 5. Like, how your chances increase to be selected? Much better, right? You're not going to have so many people searching for you, but your chances of getting hired are much bigger. So that's one when it comes to tutoring platform. But as I mentioned to you, the other way is to become an independent tutor. This means that you don't give a pie to those guys, to tutoring platforms. So you don't give away 20, 30, 40%. You get the full price, but then you have costs as a business too. And then the way you should think about your marketing is create an ecosystem. It's a structure. So in the middle, very often, you're going to have website where people can always find the most important things about you. So subject, rates, your expertise, your bio, etc. Right? And then there's the question how people also find your website. And these are going to be through many different channels. One important one that we actually spoke with Michael, so you can check my private Facebook group for Tutors by Tutors if you want to re-listen to it, is referrals. Many private tutors are not going to think that referrals is a marketing tool. In fact, for you guys, it's the best marketing tool ever, because you should think about referrals like a hidden tool that most tutors are going to forget, but it brings the best conversion. In a way, think about this way. You got referred by a friend or existing client, and somebody contacted you. They already have this trust in you that you can deliver good results. And this is what you are saying. This is so, so important. And you already got it without doing anything. So make sure in your marketing strategies, you will not forget about referrals in the system. Then there's like bunch of channels, marketing channels you can really use as independent tutor. I'm gonna just mention the most important. So of course, social media, that's obvious. Depending what kind of content you enjoy doing, if you like writing, write blogs that you share on social media. If you like video, YouTube or TikTok is for you. Obviously, Facebook is a huge platform. Find the channel that resonates with you, because to see results, you would need to spend quite a long time to build the presence. It doesn't happen in day one. That's why you have to enjoy what you do. Another one will be obviously SEO, so how people find you in Google and the keywords. Another one, leads. Leads is basically giving people something for free in order that they are encouraged to leave the email and contact to them. And that's your really great tool to stay on top of their mind, just sending, oh, for example, I have discount this month, or I'm looking for additional students because like I have just my clean calendar again after being fully booked for a while. So all those small things. And the last one that, especially if when you think globally, people ignore, which is wrong, they forget about local marketing. Because even if you want to tutor online, which is the immediate association when you think, oh, I'm gonna tutor globally, is you forget about people near you. In fact, it's the easiest to find people in your local community, especially if you start, and then you build it from there. Why? Again, people trust each other more. So you have, for example, those two social networks. If you're in the US or UK, you might know them, Nextdoor and obviously Facebook. The difference is on Nextdoor, each person knows somebody. When somebody recommends you on Nextdoor, people are just gonna assume you are trustworthy because somebody knows you. It's the same kind of magic and psychology that you have with referrals, bigger trust that already exists. So I would encourage you to try it out too. And I'm gonna show you last thing, so we can move to the last slide. If you can, yeah, if you can just click. There are 2 videos. There's one huge mistake I don't want you to make. Like, don't mix up the marketing that you have for using if you go for like tutoring platforms like Wise and Tutor, Tutor Hunt, Varsity Tutors, etc., versus being independent tutors, because actually they hurt your business. Why? I'm just gonna show you now. If we can just put on the first video, there should be a play button, and look what's going on. I put on my social media the link because I want to promote my profile that I have, right? Okay, I just took random, it's not me, obviously. And what happens, this is the parent who found your link on your social media. They clicked on it and they started discovering what you do. Everything is great up to one moment. They find this button I told you, find tutors. So you put all this effort trying to market yourself, get in front of your clients, and they find you, they read about you. They're not certain whether you're a good fit, but then they go away. They put who they're looking for, English, and they click search. What they see, again, bunch of tutors, and you are just one of them. You just lost your client. So that's one. That's where you shouldn't use your profile on those platforms as your asset. It's not your asset because you don't promote yourself. You promote the platform because they don't care whether you are gonna get a client. They care that any of those tutors get a client because that's when they are paid, right? And then the other video is about, it's very similar. So I again put the link on my social media, hoping my clients are gonna discover it, right? And if we play it, again, you see, put yourself in your client's shoes. So let's say a parent.
Do I play?
Yes. Yeah, maybe stop the other one first, and then you should be able to play. Oh yes, it's going. So I clicked on this again, on this link. It's exactly the same. And somebody lands on the website. So this is not a platform. This is a website. And they can study what kind of tutor you are, what kind of subject, what kind of rates, what kind of expertise. And the majority of people are not gonna buy from you when they land on your profile on the website. They need to do their research. But here, there's no button find more tutors. It's only a website. So if they are not 100% sure that you are a good choice, they're gonna either go to your social media, and there's the chance they're gonna subscribe to your channel, so you're gonna stay on top of their mind, or they're gonna contact you for details. And this is great because that's your chance to then talk to them. That's your chance to stay in touch, to tell more why you are better than the others. That's where you won. You didn't lose, we call it leads in marketing terms. You didn't lose this lead, it stays with you. And it's up to you how you're gonna convert it. So this is everything in terms of marketing for today. Obviously, like, as you can imagine, topic is endless. I didn't go to details. If you would go for the option of being independent tutor, so how you should, what channels should you use? Is it like Facebook? Is it YouTube? How to use referrals? Like this chat should then last additional 30 minutes for me to exhaust the topic. Instead, if that's the path, that's the road you want to choose, I would encourage you to check my Facebook group because that's where we talk about it more. This is, and with Michael, actually, we run webinars about each of them on our Facebook groups, and it takes like 30 minutes to really chat and exhaust the topic about referrals. It takes 30 minutes to exhaust the topic about how to use leads. It takes 30 minutes to exhaust the topic about like SEO and social media. So there's much more in it. However, today I thought it's more beneficial for you to understand the game and the difference, because you are playing the game. You should make conscious decisions which choices are for you, because each of you are going to have slightly different background. So take it from there. And as the question was in the beginning, ask yourself which road is for you, because there's nothing like good, wrong choice. It's just a personal choice. Is it school and agency? Is it going to the platform, tutoring platform, and have easily finding students, or not easily, but like finding students, paying money for this and having a cut? Or is it being an independent tutor? Make your choice today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss. So she's Miss Nat. So basically, she runs Tutor Me. You can have your own website like this. I have my own website at no cost. You can attach the link to your social media platforms. It could also be on your CV or on your LinkedIn as well. That has like the details as seen here. Basically, here you have, can you see? It gives you that option to put up your Facebook, your YouTube content, your LinkedIn, and all that. And then you have all the support you need to find customers online. And you can make quite a lot, basically, even more than your salary, you know. Basically, I charge £35 per hour, you know. So basically, you can do that as well and get opportunities aside your quest to move abroad and work.
If I can just take one more minute, Micah asked a very good question.
Yeah.
What type of lead magnets are best for you? This is actually something that we are gonna cover on Monday. So I encourage you, if you're interested more in the topic, check it out. But when you think about lead magnets, and just let's make me more simple this phrase, because not everybody have to know what it is. What kind of gift or free gift you give to people such that they want to leave their email with you?
Right.
Think what problem they solve. Don't try to sell your services, because your only goal is to get this contact with them. So let's say you are gonna be a tutor, English tutor for young kids. Don't simply just write a blog or create like short video. This is to tell them, oh, if you leave email, I'm gonna send it to you. Like, you have a bunch of this doing nothing, just typing it in YouTube. Forget, like, it's not gonna work. But something personalized is gonna work. So for example, on my website, what I do for tutors, I created a quiz, because it's personalized. You can solve like 10 questions and find out what kind of website is best for you. And it doesn't matter whether you want to have it with TutorMe or like with anybody else, like with Wix, with WordPress. There are like lots of website builders. I provide you my knowledge about what website is and what is the best choice for you. Because let's be honest, like, I'm also working on a niche, like you should do. Like, that's something that Michael kept repeating a lot of time. So my website is not gonna be for everybody. If you want simple website in literally 11 minutes, go for it. If you want something very complex, multi-tabs, sorry, like, I'm not the best choice for you. And that's what I want my clients to know. So your free assessment could be a good thing here for lead. Like, drop me a message, I'm gonna provide a quiz, or I'm gonna have like 10 minutes with you to tell you whether what I'm doing is for you.
Right. So could you please drop your the link to your website to see if some people might want to be, you know, create their own personalized website like I've done myself, and, you know, or what do you think? Right. So you just click on it, you create your own, put up your details, automatically it gives you your own personalized website, and then you can copy the link and send it to anyone. But then again, if you need support from her, could you please drop your email if you don't mind? Or maybe you should follow her on Facebook. I think she dropped the link.
Yeah, Michael sent it. Yes, thank you, Michael.
Right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do you have any more questions for Ms. Nat? Okay. So basically, this is for those who are settling in a new environment. You've checked on Google. Sometimes you just sit and search French teachers in so place, job vacancies and all that, or Chinese teachers or math teachers. Look at it, look for details. Sometimes it takes you to another website. If you're tired of opening new accounts for too many recruitment agencies, just try to find out the name of the school, Google, and check if they really need a teacher or they need your service. You could call them so they can give you directive on how to apply, or you could find someone who works in that organization and kind of like check, find out you've done your interview, you move down. So you kind of like already have the job and you're thinking of how to settle in a new environment. So basically, I'll suggest you fly in 7 days prior to your resumption. Bring along your food and your food items of products that you're kind of like used to. And if you have kids, products that they are used to. Find like minds on professional and social media platforms that are in the country where you are. Find out about the laws in the country and the laws in your organization, the policies and all. Create a routine, full timetable for everything you need to do. Ensure that you relax well. Basically, because of COVID-19, you really need to drink a lot of water, take orange juice, be calm at all times. It may be overwhelming. You need to sleep well. You need to write your goals. Why am I here? What do I want to achieve in the next few years? How I'm on probation for 6 months. How do I get myself to show that they made the right decision about hiring me and all. If you feel like, okay, next 1 year, I want to be a line manager. In 2 years, you can write down your goals. Do not rush into contracts like phone contracts, Wi-Fi contracts. You need to look at it well and see what's best for you, credit cards and all stuff. Do not rush into all that. Find out easy ways to move around the city, and basically that's my advice. Please, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? You can speak if you want to, just raise your hand, then I can ask you to unmute yourself. Right. So I'll go back to Mr. Michael. He has a few things to talk about.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. So yeah, and on for myself as well, I'll post the link right here. If you go to www.coachfortutors.com and subscribe, you'll receive 10 must-have back-to-school marketing tips. So especially if you're a tutor and you're looking for 10 must-have back-to-school marketing tips, you subscribe, and those will be, you'll receive a download of that. And also, I'm going to attach as well a link to two ebooks. One is 10 plus steps for the successful launch of your tutoring business, and one is 10 plus steps for the successful growth of your tutoring business. So the link for that is here, and there's also a promo code as well, a special promo code that I will post here for you as well. There we go. So if you have any questions, just please feel free to let me know as well. It'd be great to get acquainted if you have any questions. And again, if you subscribe, there's some back to school marketing tips for you available as a download. And also for the ebooks, there's a special promo code for everybody that's attending today's event. So thank you so much.
Okay, so guys, you can actually, I'm making more than how much I earn monthly from tutoring online. So please reach out to them to put you through on what you need to do, you know, to actually make more money from teaching online, solve problems. Like Nat also said, and Michael also said, it's basically about problem solving. And that should also reflect not just in your profile as a tutor, but also in your resume as a teacher. What's the facts, the figures, the problems you've solved, the challenges and all that. That's what the world wants to see, you know, and create that niche for yourself to make your clients or your audience, you know, easily find you, one, and then for schools to see that, oh, this person has much more to offer us alongside just being a regular math teacher or regular English teacher and all. So thank you so much. I think there's a question here. For teachers in Nigeria, what are the certification qualifications needed to be employed in schools abroad? Number one, like I said, you should get your teaching license in your country. If it's in India or it's in Nigeria, very good. Like I know quite a lot of the College of Teachers Ontario has affiliations with the TRCN in Nigeria, so you should get your license, which is very good. Ensure that if you don't have your first degree in education, you should do a PGCE. But usually if your target is teaching in British schools abroad, PGCEI is fantastic. And however, definitely you have to have your teaching degree to teach. And if you don't have your maybe QTS license or whatever, you can still teach a certain group of students. If you teach, for example, math to students between ages 11 and 14, for example, they are called the shortage of occupation. So basically, I think at the moment, from what I've seen so far, even if you don't have your QTS or you don't have your Dubai license, teaching license, but you teach a certain range of students, maybe, and you teach a subject that's not really out there. Like, for example, there's such a lot of math teachers or Mandarin Chinese teachers. If you have in that category, definitely you can be employed, but they'll give you a time frame to ensure you do your QTS within 2 years and all that. So basically, I'm not saying you shouldn't get your certifications. Yes, you should. But for some people, they might not require that certification immediately because of the value of the service you may be delivering to the country you're traveling to. So that's it. And even if you're just graduating from the university, volunteering is also part of experience. Teaching online is also part of experience and all that. So does anybody still have a question? Okay, Nat said you should be careful about teaching in China. Make conscious decisions, good, if the market's for you, okay? Please, what's the full meaning of, it's called qualified teacher status. Just like the TRCN. But now you can do it, I think it's about £3,000. You can do it even being in Nigeria, if you have that money, or you can even go into tutoring to save enough money for you to be able to take your QTS. And definitely you could get a job. If you have your QTS here, you are paid the same thing as a British national. So, or an American. So basically the QTS is not just, I'm not saying that they pay people based on the passport or whatever, but because you're working in a British school, the QTS is very valuable. So they're gonna pay you on that pay scale. But if you do not have your QTS, obviously you won't be able to be on that salary range. Yes, please. Adela Jaluasio. Do you have anything to say? Are you there? Okay. Okay. Ms. Nat, would you please explain further what do you mean by political changes happening in the educational sector?
Yeah, sure. So basically, China is a highly regulated market. And it's a very big market, especially for natives from US or UK. Because what happens, Chinese parents would like to teach their kids language, right? Like English language taught by natives, ideally. But what happened now, like government decided to eliminate this market in a very big chunk. So they put restrictions. There are schools if you're about this market, probably you have heard like VIP kids and like Zebra English and so on and so forth, where like the school hires a teacher or a tutor, and then they get them students from China, right? So they're right now reducing the employment and the rate and like how many hours they get, simply because of the restrictions that the government put. The ideal end goal by the government is to really reduce the market significantly, and there are many reasons behind this. Most important are like demographics. So China has issues with demographics, and right now like parents are putting so much money per one child to educate them through those private lessons that they can't really afford to have another kid, and so on and so forth. The other reasons would be there's so much money pumping there, and there's like a negative impact on kids too, because it was very common that like small kids like 5, 7, 10 years old had lessons at 11 p.m. Because they were like simply their schedule was so busy. So if you are already teaching in China, you should probably keep it in your mind. There's a huge potential to become an independent private tutor right now, because like schools are reducing, but demand is there. Like parents will still want their kids educated, right? So if you are independent, you can kind of bypass the system, and you can still teach these kids directly, and then not paying the fee to Chinese schools. On the other hand, if you're outside and you're just considering the market, keep in mind that it's not going to be very stable, and you don't know whether in the next year or two the government is going to come and start controlling WeChat, which is the main marketing channel to get students. So, you know, it's very easy to track keywords like tutoring or something and then banning those accounts, right? So if you're outside of this market, keep this in mind and ask yourself, do you want to take the risk? I'm not saying it's going to be a wrong choice for you, but if you decide to do it consciously, and think also about diversifying your business. So have some kids in China, but then have some kids somewhere else in case something like this happens, and they move forward with banning even private individual tutors. They are not kind of in pretty bad position in the end, right?
Exactly. So like she said, one of my partners here as well said something similar about the government placing bans on teaching online and abroad and all that. But yes, we still have the market in other sides of Asia. We have the UAE, we have other Arab countries. We also have South Korea, Japan, Singapore. You know, there are quite a lot of places or countries online where you can still teach.
Russia would be good.
Russia is fantastic. Russia, fantastic. You know, Germany too is fantastic as well. So the market is there. All you need to do is rebrand yourself, look for a platform like that of Nat's website, rebrand yourself, follow the feedback from Michael as well, and you'll be fine. So basically, this is beware of fraudulent job companies. Anyone that tells you to bring money, you don't ask you to bring money here to get you a job. Basically, what you need to do is once they like your CV, they offer you space for interview. You get interviewed. You do your delivery, your lesson presentation, like I've explained, and once you get selected, they ask you to send in your passport details and all that, and they need to get an approval from each ministry to see if everything works well. But basically, prior to the approval, I'm sure they would have seen that you actually fall into the category of what should be allowed to work in their country. And you get, then the last thing you do by yourself, which is attestation of your documents, which that's the only thing. Every other thing is done by them. Even in the UK, if you're getting a job internationally, they're literally going to pay for your tickets and all that. Here, they pay for ticket, accommodation, and everything. You're not paying anything aside doing your attestation in your country and your interview. And fake job postings, you never know until you apply. So sometimes I post on my social media platforms, people look at it, and obviously I've seen friends and family who have, gotten job interviews and all that. So definitely there might be job postings, but you won't, it won't hurt you if you apply, definitely. But as long as they don't, once they ask you for money, start to ask you for things that are just not clear, then you know it's fake. Then also beware of customers who owe clients as well and all that, like Ms. Nat said. Be careful with your information and details, don't put it out there. For me, I have a different email that I use with my bank details. It's completely different to the one I use for my businesses, or I put on platforms out there. Then set up a PayPal account with a new email address. So it could be a very good payment platform. I use PayPal. I don't know. So basically, do you have any questions? Please feel free to unmute your mic if you have any questions.
So I was going to talk about the PayPal you mentioned here. In Nigeria, there's a bit of restrictions about using it. I know people have a way around it, but basically it's one of the restrictions we have in Nigeria, because I noticed that applying for jobs in Dubai these days too, you'd find them talk about you having a work permit already, or being able to, if you already are there, you have better chances than if you're applying from outside of their region. So I think those are things that are limitations coming up now that possibly weren't there before, maybe because there are more people already there doing these jobs and then maybe moving around, so they already have work permits. So is there a way around all of these things? Okay. I know that creating a niche for yourself is one of it, but maybe there might be other things that you've not mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. Well, people come up with a lot of things on social media, and there are different organizations. The giant organization that will give you peace of mind would be able to bring you from anywhere you're coming from, like GEMS Education, like Talim, and other organizations that I feel you should work with. Aside the smaller schools who can't afford to bring you from anywhere, and even if you work with them, something might happen and they're saying they can no longer pay staff or whatever. And they might not even give you all the benefits that comes with these top schools and organizations. I personally, I don't think I travel, but I've never traveled because I was going for a job, or I had a promising job somewhere or anything. It's basically based on a school seeing my CV or organization seeing my CV in Dubai or in the UK, and they're saying, oh, they want you, they're going to do everything to bring you. Fine, if you come on holiday, you can. I think in 2019, I came on holiday and I discussed with one of my friends, and she said it was a fantastic idea. But prior to me coming on holiday, I had the information about GEMS first. And for crying out loud, I went to all the GEMS schools around, which I could have applied online. And they were like, you don't come to school, you have to apply online. You don't have to be here. You can apply from anywhere you are. So I literally, I applied, I literally dropped my CV everywhere, and I also applied, and I dropped my friend's CV as well. But what got me the job was my application online, and it was I still put my CV, like I still put my address, my phone number, so they literally know I was in Nigeria. I didn't specify that I came on holiday. I came for 9 days and I left. And I got the interview, and that was it. And I know numerous people too. I have recently a couple of friends, one relative and a friend as well, has gotten calls from these organizations that have said, okay, please apply, send your CV here and all that. And they were in Nigeria. I have colleagues who are resuming work, and they're from different countries all over the world. I'm not saying being there won't give you an added advantage, but I don't think it's worth it. You don't need to believe. People say a lot of things. The other day, one of my friends was saying, someone posted that she's in the UAE. She finally came to the UAE. Now nobody wants to employ her to teach. That she's even willing to do free teaching and see if that gives her UAE experience. And without even blinking, I was just saying, please, you need to check that person very well. The person probably doesn't know what he or she is doing. Check the person's LinkedIn profile. Check what the person does. Check if the person has really been able, like Michael said, have that niche for. Are they outstanding in whatever they do? You know, do they really solve problems? And the answer was actually what I was actually thinking. You know, so I'm not the first. The people here who have been hired here 6 years before I got here, 7 years, 8 years, I've had people I've had people tell me I was never going to get a job in some countries because of and today I have interviews, people sending messages and all that. So do not believe what everybody says. As long as you rebrand yourself, attend trainings like this, follow Michael and Nat on how to rebrand yourself, where to get information from. Also, please, if you're not following me on social media, please follow me on Instagram, leadinglingua.com. I post opportunities there. Most of the principals are people I know from different schools, and the jobs are real. If you've sent like a couple of times, I noticed my school or some other schools around me need teachers, and the vacancies have been coming up and coming up and coming up, you know. And I understand that maybe they've not really gotten the person they want. Sometimes I tell, okay, send me your CV. I can recommend you to this person and see if you're someone I know over the years or I've known, yes, I can recommend, you know, and that's how it's been, because I've also gone this far based on my recommendation from friends and yeah, basically. Thank you so much. So that's just it. I hope that's been able to answer your question. Miss Teju, are you there? Okay. So please don't.
Okay, sorry, can you tell us your Instagram?
Okay, I said leading.
Maybe just put it in the chat box.
Okay, so. Leading_lingual. Just search. You don't need to put .com though. Just put it in. So I share job opportunities and all that. And that's it for this evening. I am so excited to have you all here today, and I look forward to you all excelling in different endeavors. And that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael and Miss Nat. And that's it. Have a good evening, everyone.